What I do whilst the underpaint is still wet, I start applying coats of colours. Now, going back to my inspiration and my scrapbook, the colours I've used for this one I actually saw in the perfume advert in a shop window, and I like the combination pink and lime green and yellow. So, you know, again, I stored that, and now it's going to evolve into a painting. So the first thing, like I said, I prepared it, and then I started getting those colours in smoothly to get a nice sort of marbly effect, and always try and have a light sort of area which is like a vanishing point or the horizon. Now these paintings, I've done quite a few of them now, form part of my latest series of paintings, which are to do with loneliness mainly. It's to do with the feeling of being lonely or feeling lonely amongst a crowd of people. I believe human beings, we have families, friends, but at the bottom of it all, we are islands and we're on our own. So what I try and do with these paintings is, rather than use a very finished figure of a human being, I'm using a pseudo, it's not quite a painted figure, it's semi-abstract. It's like elongated shapes that could come to represent a person. But also I like to leave ambiguity in art. People can interpret it as they want. Some people might straight away see a person, others might think it's a tree. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, art is a two-way thing. The viewer has to feel and get the feeling of what the painter is doing. But if he gets something that's not what the painter intended, it's still good enough. So anyway, my next step now is to divide the space into the figures I want to apply. And for that, I'm going to use, like I said before, bark, which I happen to have right behind me over here. The material I'm going to be using now, like I said before, is an organic bark from a eucalyptus tree. I love this material because if you look at it again carefully and without any inhibitions, it's a lovely material. It has a lot of texture, and why not incorporate it into a painting? I thought of it one day and tried it and loved the feel of it. I tend to collect this anywhere in Gypsum. There's loads of eucalyptus trees, but where I normally get these from is from Jumpers Bastion, Lavaderia. Some people have other hobbies. I just walk around with my bag collecting bark. People actually look at me because I jump onto where the flowers are, the flower beds, and start collecting bark. But again, I think most artists do have an element of craziness in them, or else we wouldn't be doing this. So now it's a question of getting shapes and sizes that I feel suit what I want to do with the painting. Like I said before, I want to give an idea, which is why I've used the horizon effect. I want to give an idea of space and distance, which in a way helps to emphasize the feeling of loneliness. You know, when you have a big, massive space like a beach or an open, wide area, you tend to be more lonely there. So that's why I'm using this. So I'm using color, I'm also using space, I'm going to use texture, and then at the end and eventually I'm going to use action painting, my dripping paint, which is what I also enjoy doing. But let's see how this takes form. Now it's finding the shapes. I don't know how many I'm going to use, but it all depends. It'll talk to me. So I'm going to just place one. Now I'm just going to sieve through the whole bag of bark and even break pieces and just find shapes that I think are interesting. So I mean, I'm just going to continue doing that for a while and then see where it's taking me to. I like large ones, then I like small ones. I'm trying to use a bit of perspective. So obviously, if you use perspective, whatever's near you, it's going to be bigger. Whatever's in the distance is going to be smaller. And just place them in place. I'm going to carry on now for a while. See, some of these shapes alone, they are like dancing figures. They've got some interesting curves, which adds to the painting. Also, the fact that it's 3D gives the painting its own shadows, or shadow. And that makes it extremely interesting. I don't want it too crowded. I need to stand back a bit. I think that's more or less ready. The next stage is adhering these shapes onto the board. I found that the best way to do it is a staple gun. It's very direct. I just quickly position them in place, no time wasting. One thing I wouldn't do, I wouldn't do this normally. Before applying the bark to the board, I would normally coat it in some sort of PVA glue or varnish, just to give it some sort of consistency, and so it's not too dry. It doesn't matter now. In the end, the paint is going to have loads of coats of varnish, so it should be okay. But if you have the time and you're going to do it, I suggest you coat it with something to protect the wood from decaying. Okay, so now we start stapling, and I'm going to start with a large one. And just basically, no fear. This is why I also use MDF board. Normally you wouldn't be able to do this on a canvas. Although I've done it on canvas before, but without the staple gun. See, if you cover it in PVA glue or some sort of polyurethane glue, you would make the bark more pliable. It would become softer and you could bend it easily. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to prove a point here. Don't worry about the staples showing. They won't. Once I'm finished with this, you won't see a single staple. I hope I'm getting these in the right place. They look okay to me. So here we go. No fear. Remember what I always say. No fear. Just go ahead and just do it. Anything and everything can be corrected. See that whoops, come off, doesn't matter. See, already just by the actual form of the bark, I'm getting movement. It's like dancing figures. They're suggesting a movement, which when I apply paint, I will try and follow and emulate. As you can see now, we've moved the painting to the floor. Like I mentioned last week, action painting, Jackson Pollock, he was the first one who started working with the painting surface, the canvas on the floor. It also helps me because I can see from a higher perspective and see how the painting is evolving. I'm going to start now applying colour freely. My intuition now leads me to get a light colour first. I normally like to establish where the light areas are so I can then have a shadow. So in this case, the light source is going to be from the top right hand side of the painting. So this could be a beach,